ketika saya mula terjun dalam bidang aktivis, saya mengandung anak ke-7 dan kemudian ke-8 dan ke-9. Dalam ketiga-tiga tempoh pregnancy ni, saya berhadapan dengan kes polis, rumah diserbu, barang dirampas dan saya dipanggil untuk memberi keterangan di balai polis dan di pejabat agama. Tapi selepas peristiwa itu, mereka melihat satu karakter baru timbul bahawa ini adalah seorang wanita yang berani, dare to speak out.
It was like, I think about 23 years ago, when I came across this Asian dry earth factory. The byproduct of it was radioactive waste. And I didn't know that I was also exposed to radiation. When I was 6 months pregnant, my gynae told me that I had to terminate the pregnancy.
Well, it was about the caning. And I guess I just cannot see how two people who love each other need to be taken to a court of law, humiliated in front of friends and family, and whipped. I broke down because it's just very hard for me to even think about that and not be emotional.
I was commissioned to make a documentary about the Bakun Dam in Sarawak, and went into really deep into the interior, met with a lot of indigenous people, told myself that I would continuously fight for marginalized voices. With Bakun, we had to be very careful, because you weren't sure who were spies for the government and for Taib's government and who weren't. One day I got a VHS tape of the documentary that was sent to me to my home in an envelope with no name, no nothing. So I really freaked out, and I thought to myself, okay, they know what I'm doing.
Saya dituduh akan memurtadkan anak-anak saya dengan pandangan yang saya berikan. Tetapi anak-anak saya melihat sendiri bahawa saya lah ibu yang mengajar mereka mengaji, yang menghantar mereka ke sekolah agama, yang menyuruh mereka solat, dan mereka melihat saya sebagai ibu yang masih kekal dengan akidah.
I've been basically out all my life, honestly. But I do have a fear because I do have 2 children. Yeah, so more for my kids, I worry about what people think of them because I am gay. My son was 4 and my daughter was 8 when I got divorced, and I decided I was going to tell them because I don't want to live a lie. My kids give me that strength, like, you know, Mommy, you don't have to worry about who you are, you're amazing. I think the last article my daughter wrote for our community, and she was talking about how strong my mother is, and if I could be at least an ounce of what she is.
During the Anwar Reformasi time, I got called by the special branch, and they said that, you know, we have these reports that you do, and it's so totally different from the way the local newspapers report. I called my father and I had this long conversation, and he told me, he said, you know what, if you are going to go to prison because you are doing your job and you're being honest to yourself and what you believe in, then trust me, I'll be the proudest dad in the world.
This very particular reading, it took me 10 years to write about this event that happened where I was physically beaten up by my first husband, and I remember seeing the women in the audience just kind of like recoiling, just like, wow, this is too much, And then, whereas when I went to South Africa for a writers' festival, and there was a celebration of like, wow, you know, you wrote about something so painful, but in such a beautiful, poetic way. I entered my first relationship. I married him. He was abusive. I entered a second marriage. It was also emotionally abusive. And when I decided to leave that marriage, I found a therapist. She said, you know what, Bernice? You need to get your dignity back.
You know, like in my case,
yeah,
like you, and fell in love with a guy, or thought I fell in love with this guy. The first guy that came by, married him, eloped. 3 months into the marriage, he was abusing me. And when I had my second child and I had a cesarean, he kicked me where the surgery had happened, like 3 days after the surgeries. And after the surgery, and it was like 7.5 years of nothing but abuse. Women's Aid Organization and Awam used to call me to talk to abused women. They felt like it's much more meaningful than coming from someone who hadn't suffered that kind of abuse in a marriage.
My experience is slightly different. I was married to a very nice man, good man. I have nothing bad to say about him. I just fell out of love with him. 2 children later. The second relationship I had was with a woman, and that was 16 years. until she passed. Her children were not as accepting as mine. Being a queer mum, I can identify how hard it is for them to grasp.
Even you nak impose benda-benda personal matters about religion, God, custom, local custom, budaya semua tu, you kena hormat dia as a human being first, as a person first.
Like all of us, yeah.
Yeah, that's why antara benda yang saya fikir adalah selagi tiada perubahan undang-undang, political will of course kena ada.
Yes.
Kita tak akan pergi jauh ke mana. Dalam konteks both sides nak winning majority punya votes, of course dia akan tengok which yang popular lah.
Yeah.
So of course against marginalized akan kekal marginalized lah.
Asiah, but now, you know, how is the reception from your parents? Do they accept you as a human rights activist?
Finally my parents dia dah menerima hakikat bahawa saya tak akan dengar cakap mereka. Finally. Okay, my mother is dia support saya dalam diam, saya tahu. Tapi ayah saya memang terang-terang bantah.
Okay.
So my father dia kata maybe inilah Tuhan takdirkan you untuk jadi suri rumah. That's why you fail to become a lawyer. So my first step was untuk biar semua orang tahu bahawa saya tidak akan mendengar cakap orang-orang lelaki di atas saya. So you cannot control me by controlling men in my life.
Right.
Exactly. You just have to do the work that you do. And I will continue to do that because I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to provoke.
Yes.
I'm here to be confrontational. And if you have a problem with it, that's your problem. It's not my problem. But I think, you know, sebab ibu bapa kan protective.
Yes.
You know, as a father, you would think that bapa kamu nak sokong adik kamu. Tapi dia tidak. Dia halang kamu. You know, so I find that, you know, the sense of patriarchy, I suppose, is still very much alive in all societies.
Yeah, and then saya pun nampak dalam dunia aktivism ni, kebanyakan wanita dia akan berhenti join aktivis once they get married and dapat anak mengandung. Kids bukanlah satu benda yang akan menghalang, but maybe they will lebih mendorong kita sebab kita nak create a better future for our kids. So especially that saya rasa hopefully to inspire other mothers, to encourage them to continue in their activism.
We've had our struggles. We've, you know, probably had our ups and downs and sometimes failed. If there are failures, how do you cope with those things? And what do you do to you know, rein that back in and struggle and move forward?
I get really frustrated because I spend 80% of my time looking for funding to work on projects, as opposed to spending that precious time working on projects. Right? And it can get really lonely and very depressing. And you ask yourself, like, where are you going wrong?
I think self-care is really, really important. It's something that a lot of women just sort of deny themselves. You know, it's okay to take time out. It's okay to binge. A Netflix series for 2 days
All the time.
And then you
Crime thrillers.
So no, I love that. And have a good cry and then pick yourself up and like, okay, let's move forward instead of walling in in your own self-pity.
No. Do your children like know what you're doing? Are they a part of the activism that you do?
Yeah, I think my children sometimes think I'm a little bit crazy for trying to do too many things. But I think it's you lead by example, and if you can believe in what you're struggling for, and then other people will see and like, okay, maybe I can do that too. I want people to write their stories down. You know, it doesn't matter what you are, who you choose to love, what you choose to wear, and whether or not you choose to write about the kind of abuse that you've been through. So for me, it's really the act of writing, the act of telling, the act of naming what you have suffered from or what you have survived.
I mean, if I believe in myself and I know I'm not wrong, loving someone is not wrong. So I just go ahead and do what we need to do. We press on. Got no time to listen to anybody to tell us to keep quiet. We can't keep quiet anymore. We all need to support each other and be proud of each other.
Jika saya satu hari nanti direkodkan dalam sejarah, saya ingin direkodkan sebagai seorang wanita Islam yang berjaya membuat perubahan yang signifikan terhadap perubahan hukum dalam Islam yang melibatkan wanita.
Every time I see a refugee or a stateless person or someone from the LGBT community or a marginalized community, undocumented migrant worker, actually go out there and express themselves, I think it's beautiful. And the fact that I'm able to kind of like contribute a tiny bit in making that possible, that makes me happy.